Alright, let's work on some scales. And let's be honest, most of the gigs you're going to do in the world aren't jazz gigs. They're going to be pop gigs, rock gigs, funk gigs, R&B gigs, and they don't require as many scales right away, maybe, as playing a jazz standard would. Even though we're only going to work on a couple scales, you're going to decide how deep you're going to go into each of them. And in this video, we're going to talk about the scales you need to play some good old-fashioned pop music. If you're enjoying the video, click like and subscribe, hit the little bell, it really helps me out, and I'm just trying to get my world and music out there. Scale number 1, the minor pentatonic. It's kind of like the blues scale, but easier. Only slightly easier. So in describing scales, we always talk about them in reference to the major scale. So for this video, I'm going to assume that you understand your major scales. The major pentatonic is a 5-note scale, and it consists of 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7. This is what it sounds like. We're going to work on it in the key of A on the tenor saxophone today. So the notes are A, C natural, D, E, and G. Let's practice it going up and down in 1 octave. Good. You can do 1 octave. You're definitely going to need 2 octaves. Let's try that out. If you can't do 2 octaves, just do it to the highest note you can play on your instrument. So for instance, I would go to my high E if I wasn't going into the altissimo register. Now that you get 2 octaves together, you're going to want to do it full range of the horn as high as you can go. And you may even want to push yourself a little bit to see if you can get some new notes, maybe in the altissimo register. You're definitely going to need to scream some of these high notes into the microphone and into the saxophone on these gigs. And by the way, if you're enjoying this content, be sure to subscribe. Also, if you become a member of my Patreon, you can get the PDF that goes with this video and the backing tracks that I made for this video in the digital asset section. Now that you can play the scale full range of your horn, let's work on some basic patterns. That was a 4-note pattern. I just went up 4 notes, and then I went back down to the next note in the scale, and then went up another 4 notes. In pop music, patterns really have a strong sound, and they're useful. It's something the audience can really latch onto easily, and it creates a lot of excitement. I mixed 2 patterns on that one. And you can see how it really changed and made the music more exciting in the moment. You're going to want to practice these slowly at first, and then you're going to want to add the metronome or maybe some sort of play along to get better at this sound. So I've made a minor chord jam to help you get better at this scale. You can just play the scale slowly and in time, maybe play 1 note at a time and see what happens. So do you feel like a master on A minor 7 for the tenor? You definitely going to want to do it in D concert, F concert, A concert, because guitar keys, bass keys, these are keys that a lot of pop songs are written in. And then to take it to the final level is to do it in all 12 keys. By the way, guys, I can't get to everything in one video, and I've made a totally free 6-part masterclass about my pro tips for taking your playing to a pro level if you just sign up for it down below. I hope you'll check it out. We go into more detail there about becoming a successful musician in today's world. Alright, you've got the minor pentatonic down. Now it's time to add one more note and we get the blues scale. The blues scale is made up of 1, flat 3, 4, flat 5, natural 5, and the flat 7. It's just like the minor pentatonic, except the flat 5 is added. It sounds like this. With the minor pentatonic and the blues scale, you're well on your way to making money from playing music. These two scales are needed everywhere in popular music today, and so many gigs that you're going to work on. Now let's work on the blues scale, and we're going to do it just like we did the minor pentatonic. We're going to play it up and down in 1 octave, then we're going to do 2 octaves, full range of the horn, and then we're going to start doing some patterns and improvising. This is 1 octave, up and down. Now let's do it 2 octaves. Let's try it full range. If you're having trouble in maybe those low register parts or the high register parts, you can create a little loop sometimes, and that helps with getting the technique together. Same thing with the blues scale. Let's do a 4-note pattern to develop our technique and fluidity on this scale. Added a little major blues at the end there. And now let's try improvising on the backing track with this scale. I hope you heard in that last one that I was mixing the minor pentatonic and the minor blues scale. They're really so close together. It's just 1 note difference. So you might want to play up the minor pentatonic and then all of a sudden you hit that blue note and you feel, okay, it's time to come back down the minor blues scale. And it's really up to you how you want to interpret these scales. And that's really the beautiful thing, is because we all interpret them a different way and we all have a different way of making music. Now I'm going to move on to a scale not so talked about in the saxophone world, because a certain soprano saxophone playing musician out there, I think, has used it so well that there's a negativity towards this scale. And that's the major blues scale and the major pentatonic. At least for me in saxophone life, no one taught me this till much later. I think I had to learn it from a pianist, just sort of offhand. A lot of saxophone players don't really, I don't know why, we didn't talk about it or whatever, and it makes so much sense. There's a minor blues scale, why is there not a major one? And I think it basically just has to do with Kenny G was so good at the major blues scale that he's famous worldwide now. and that's totally cool. I can't remember if I heard this somewhere or not, but I think pentatonics are one of the most common sounds in all cultures of the world. It's one of the scales that you find the most frequently in various cultures everywhere. So it's not really surprising that Kenny G was able to take the major blues scale and the major pentatonic and be really, really popular in many different parts of the world. Now, I really like this scale, and I again think it's up to the player with what they do with it. This scale existed before Kenny G, and there was lots of great music that was made, and a bunch of people used it their own way. And that's going to happen to you. You get to use these scales however you like. And for me, by the end, we're going to talk about combining all these scales. That's what I really like to do. Shifting back and forth between all the scales to get a sound, not just sticking on one. But before we get to that, let's work on our major pentatonic. The major pentatonic is spelled 1, 2, major third, 5, and 6. It sounds like this. Not too smooth yet. I think it doesn't sound too much like anything, so I think we can still work with it. And the method for getting good at this scale is just the same as your minor pentatonic and your minor blues scale. Practice the scale 1 octave, then you're going to practice it 2 octaves, then you're going to practice it full range, and then you're going to do patterns, and then you're going to play along with a backing track. So I'm not going to demonstrate all those things, and we're just going to listen to the backing track so you can get an idea of the sound of this scale. The last piece of the puzzle is the major blues scale. And just like the minor pentatonic and the minor blues scale, the major pentatonic and the major blues scale really only have one note difference. And in this case, it's the sharp 2. So the major blues scale is spelled 1, 2, sharp 2, 3, 5, 6. And it sounds like this. Now, I like thinking about the major blues scale as having a sharp 2 instead of a flat third. And this is just my personal preference. I like thinking of it this way because sharps are raised and the major sound overall is brighter. Flats are lowered. It's darker. Down, darker. Up, like the sun rises. The sound gets brighter. That doesn't mean that you're always going to resolve the sharp 2 to the 3. That resolution from the sharp 2 to the 3 is definitely the sound getting brighter. Within the major blues, you still have the option of playing that flatted third or sharp second in its own space to give it a slightly darker sound. And again, this is all your choice. Do whatever you like to develop your own sound within these scales and within this world. So here's a demo of playing on the major blues scale. So now that you got your major pentatonic, those are the 4 scales I'm basically going to be including in this video. Your minor pentatonic, your minor blues scale, your major pentatonic, and your major blues scale. And for me, the last step of all of this, now that you know all the scales, is to combine them all. Now, this sound, you're not necessarily going to use the major blues scale and the major pentatonic on any tune that isn't a minor key. That's not going to work. But you can use the minor pentatonic and the minor blues scale with the major pentatonic and major blues scale on any tune that's in like a dominant key or more major sounding. Here's a demo of me mixing all 4 of those scales. If you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon page where you can get access to the backing tracks that I made for this video and the PDFs related to the information. I've got it all written out and you can check everything out in fine detail if you want to do that. And check me out in the next video and I'll see you later.